Hi, I'm Christy McDonald, and here's what's coming up this week on One Detroit. The COVID numbers are rising here in Michigan and the U.S., but what's it like around the world? Bill Kubota has the story. Plus, an in-depth report on how businesses along the Avenue of Fashion in Detroit are trying to adapt after construction and the pandemic. Then, a program helping students explore different religions across our area. We'll take you on a virtual tour. And Stephen and Nolan get civil. It's all ahead on One Detroit.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support for this program provided by the Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The Kresge Foundation. Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan.
The DTE Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public TV, among the state's largest foundations committed to Michigan-focused giving. We support organizations that are doing exceptional work in our state. Visit dtefoundation.com to learn more.
Business Leaders for Michigan, dedicated to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. Nissan Foundation, Ally, and viewers like you.
Hey, One Detroit, I'm Christy McDonald. Thanks so much for joining me. Well, we're rolling into the holiday season and heading towards the end of the year. 2020 has been a tough one. Can we turn the page yet? Well, we're working with more restrictions as the COVID cases continue to rise. Coming up, we'll have a look at how people are coping with the pandemic in other parts of the world. Plus, we head back to the Avenue of Fashion in Detroit as shop owners struggle to adapt. Then the Interfaith Leadership Council of Metro Detroit on helping people learn about different religions. And Nolan and Stephen on staying civil. But we're starting with how other countries are dealing with COVID around the world. One Detroit's Bill Kubota went through a few time zones for the story.
My wife is pregnant. We're expecting a baby, and we were basically locked down here in Mexico. I haven't get a haircut because I'm trying to stay away from people.
We're back on Zoom to hear what's going on in other countries. Investigative journalist Miguel Angel Vega helped us do stories from Mexico a few years ago. Now we're talking COVID and a common problem, people without masks.
The situation in Mexico City, it's bad, but people are still going out. You see people, many people out there. There has never been a lockdown in Mexico City.
Mexico, well more than 1 million confirmed COVID cases, the 100,000 dead, leading the world in COVID mortality at almost 10%, twice as high as anywhere else. And Mexico's way behind in COVID testing.
If you want to have a test, then you have to pay, but it's very expensive for Mexican families. It's almost $200 per test. And of course, most people don't have that money. And not to mention that there are so many layoffs. Many people, families have lost their jobs, so they have no money. So the situation is not good. But the truth is, the numbers doesn't really show the reality. More people died, at least out there to say maybe 4 times the number they're saying. And I can tell you this because I've been working in Mexico City with different media outlets from all over, and we conducted many different investigations, and we spoke with people from funeral homes, hospitals, and doctors, nurses, paramedics, and they are saying, the numbers the Mexican government is giving doesn't really match what we are seeing. The hospitals are almost full. People are dying, and not to mention healthcare workers also are dying.
2 weeks ago in Windsor, we had 0 cases per day. Now we're up to 51 per day.
Michael Poirier, among other things, a tech guy at a Windsor college, provides insight from across the river. Canada, 380,000 COVID cases, 12,000 dead. Michigan more than 9,000. We actually have more confirmed cases, but then Canada has nearly 4 times as many people as we do.
Do you feel comfortable going out these days?
Yeah, well, because I do feel comfortable because when I go out, I would say 99% of everybody I see is following the rules. And if they're not, they're usually not allowed into businesses here, right? So at the beginning of the pandemic, when it wasn't a law to wear a mask, you'd see people that would go into stores and just refuse to wear a mask, and there's nothing they could do. But now it's enforced by law.
A law some Canadians are not happy with.
You guys are the ones that are willing to stand.
Chatham, Ontario. They call this a freedom rally. There's been a few.
They are coming after us.
Rally leaders face charges, and further east, Toronto now on lockdown. Sounds familiar. Restaurants, other businesses closed by law, although a Texas-style barbecue operator is taking a stand, as if following the lead of that mid-Michigan barber back in May.
Will be opening for in-restaurant dining against provincial orders.
Not like the barber, the barbecuer, unable to continue as hoped.
I know our numbers are not great, but they're certainly better than the numbers in the United States. And I think that's the reason, is because Canadians are not as obsessed with freedom and rights. We're more obsessed with responsibility, I think. Not to say that we're better, but I just think that's the difference in our national character.
Such a contrast with Mexico, where PBS NewsHour found a masked man helping his community during the pandemic, only he's from a drug cartel. And there's another grave situation.
Well, in the news very recently, there was talk about running out of death certificates in Mexico.
Yeah, also like when we were doing this investigation, like that was back in April, May, we heard cases in which families, because they want to have a funeral, they used to bribe doctors. So in the death certificate says it was something else, but not coronavirus. If the death certificate shows that the person died because of coronavirus, there is no funeral. They just take the body and cremate the body, and that was it. So that was the last thing most families wanted. People still didn't believe coronavirus was real back then.
Do they call it COVID-19 in Mexico? How do they refer to coronavirus there?
But in Mexico, everyone calls them coronavirus. Very few people call them COVID, but most people call them coronavirus. Sometimes they can make mockeries about the virus. Because like in Mexico, we have these traditional piñatas, and you see piñatas that call COVID.
But you don't call it the China virus or the Chinese virus there, do you?
No, we don't. We don't call them China virus now.
Wuhan was catching on.
President Trump was referring to COVID-19 as the China virus or the
Kung
flu. Is that something you hear from politicians in Canada?
You know what? I don't know for sure if I've heard any Canadian politicians use it, but I've certainly heard people use it.
Well, I guess maybe the politicians aren't so brazen in Canada.
I couldn't even imagine a Canadian politician saying that. And maybe I'm just being naive. Maybe I'm being ignorant. Maybe they do say it.
Well, earlier this month, when the election passed, what's the feeling there amongst Canadians in general? Does it break out the same way? A large percentage are disappointed and a large percentage are happy? Or
I would say there was a tremendous sense of relief. Also, I think it's a relief because we're hoping that our relationship with the U.S. can improve a little bit and get back to normal. I know that there's been a drastic difference, even just crossing the border. There's been a drastic difference in the way that we're treated coming into the country. I think we're greeted with a lot more suspicion since Trump has come into office. And so there's we have Trump supporters here and we have anti-maskers here, maybe not as much, but they're definitely here. And I think the only difference is that we don't have as easy access to guns. They tend to filter their way out of my life. So I don't see or hear those people as much as I used to. So, but I know that they're out there. They have to be. So.
Back here in Michigan, we're in the middle of another round of restrictions. Businesses on the whole have struggled, but the challenges along the Avenue of Fashion in Detroit are twofold. Shop owners there were already reeling from a major construction project, and just when they started to recover, COVID hit. One Detroit's Will Glover has the story.
When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, businesses along Livernois shifted into survival mode. Joe's Gallery is a family-owned business that has been on Livernois for decades.
We are a community of 237 small businesses that stretch from basically 6 Mile to 8 Mile Road, and predominantly female-owned. I think we're almost 60% female-owned here on the Avenue of Fashion, female minority. So when COVID struck, March 23rd, the majority of us went down for about 10 weeks. But being prepared for the unexpected is just a part of being a small business. And for a lot of us, having that go live and being ready for the unexpected is real important. It's really survival at this point.
Across the street from Joe's Gallery is the Narrowway Cafe. Co-owner Sabrina Swain has made changes to the way the coffee shop operates.
Sometimes worry can creep in, but I believe for us, it was more of a survival mode. It was, okay, how can we adapt? How can we make this work? And at the same time, how can we continue to make sure that we're taking care of our employees as well as our customers? What is going to be the best form of action? And I believe that we have made those tough decisions.
We've been trying really hard to find places like Narrowway where you can walk up to the window and get coffee. And we just got back from having lunch in Corktown at Mudgee's down in Corktown because they have an outside patio. So we want to support whatever businesses we can that are trying to keep things outside and spaced out during pandemic, keep it safe and keep our businesses going.
Next door to the Narrowway Cafe is Cuzzo's Chicken and Waffles restaurant that opened in January of 2015. Prior to the new 3-week pause on indoor dining, Cuzzo's was operating at 50% capacity.
It's important to support our people, so we can go ahead and make it through this.
The restaurants, they actually are doing okay. They ramped up their carry-out business, and that helped out a lot. That kept them afloat.
This is the second time businesses on the Avenue of Fashion have been forced to shift into survival mode. In April of last year, the city of Detroit began a redevelopment project along this section of Livernois. We went there last summer to see how business was going during the construction of wider sidewalks, new lighting, a protected bike lane, and dedicated turning lane.
I appreciate, having change, but it's just really hurting business.
The project took much longer than expected.
So the streetscape, which was only supposed to last a couple of months, ended up lasting around 8 months.
The process was brutal. It was very difficult. We lost a significant number of businesses. I can't undermine that. September 30th, 2019. So I remember that day specifically because they had just poured the concrete literally up to my door. We had knocked out all of the street and the concrete was gone now and they just poured it. It was fresh. And we could actually open the doors and have a normal day of business. It was a huge sigh of relief.
We thought that as November of 2019 approached, and that was kind of the end of the streetscape, that, although we're going into our slow season of the winter, that the spring of 2020 was going to be our time with this new, beautiful, enlarged sidewalk and the streets, that it was just going to go smoothly. But lo and behold, 2020 hit, and it has been a whirlwind.
Just as businesses along Livernois were approaching the light at the end of the construction tunnel, COVID-19 brought the world to a standstill.
If we had to close because of COVID and construction, it meant losing a 20-year legacy business. There's only a handful of legacy businesses here on the Avenue of Fashion.
We got a lot of help from the city this time around, so that's the reason a lot of the business didn't go out of business.
I think that it's most important that we spend our money and spend our dollars in our own community where you live at and let us grow, because we've been feeding other communities for a long time. It's a shame it took this type of environment to get us into this mental space, but I think it's a good thing.
I think that Black Lives Matter has drawn more emphasis. You definitely see greater grant opportunities out there for minorities, which was desperately needed. You can't take a loan out as a business owner for everything that you need to do. So having reserve resources and those grant opportunities available are vital, particularly when you think about the national averages. 50% of Black businesses has failed as a part of this pandemic is a very serious issue.
Let me just say that I think that because of all of the social unrest, a lot of people were made aware of Black businesses. But Black businesses, in order to survive, they can't have a year. They need to have sustained support.
The Avenue of Fashion has had its fair share of ups and downs over the past few years, but this stretch of businesses has held strong and shows few signs of giving up.
Like I said, I think that this is just one of many situations that us as Detroiters and Black business owners are just going to come through and win.
Coming up on Friday, December 4th, here on Detroit Public Television, we have a new documentary exploring the Sikh faith and its founder, Guru Nanak. Sikhism is the world's 5th largest religion, and here in Michigan, there is a thriving Sikh community. And we get to learn more about Sikhism from the Interfaith Leadership Council of Metro Detroit. They have a program for middle school students that help them learn all about different kinds of faiths.
We're at the Sikh Gurdwara of Rochester Hills. This community is one of Religious Diversity Journey's faith community partners. My name is Wendy Miller Gamer. I am the director of Religious Diversity Journeys. With over 20 million members throughout the world, Sikhism is actually the world's 5th largest religion. Here in Michigan, the Sikh community continues to grow and thrive. There's about a dozen Gurdwaras serving hundreds of families throughout the state. Today, Kennedy, a 7th grader at East Middle School, is going to get to explore the Sikh faith by asking questions of her peers who she's going to meet soon and some of the adults in the community.
Hey Kennedy, how are you today? We're so excited to have you here at the Sikh Gurdwara. Are you excited? Yeah? Before we start, we're gonna just walk over, take our shoes off, and cover our heads. Sound good? All right, let's go over this way.
For a Sikh, the key goal of life is to make and understand this idea that the divine force is within everything and within ourselves, and to reconnect with that divine force. And to do that, a Sikh uses the Guru. And the Guru for us is a sacred text. Guru actually literally means brings light to darkness. And the sacred text contains teachings that describe how a Sikh should live their life and how one should make these connections to the divine. This idea of the divine force being within everything and there only being one, as well as using the Guru to help us connect with this one, these kind of make up the central tenets or beliefs of the Sikh way of life.
Why do you think it's important for everyone, even non-Sikhs, to learn about these beliefs?
So Sikhi is really based off of platform of good things like being kind, being respectful, doing service, being compassionate. These are just things that basically anybody can learn, anybody can do, and we think that it would really help build a better society.
The way we focus on things like love and compassion and respect and kindness and service, it just makes our whole world better.
There are many reasons that Sikhs wear their turban. The main reasons are, number one, it shows respect to Waheguruji, and it shows respect to other people. The second reason is that it shows a sense of royalty, since we think the turban is a crown. And last but not least, the third reason is that our 10th Guru, Guru Gobind Singh Ji, he didn't want the Sikhs to hide in the shadows. He wanted us to be unique and stand out.
For me, it's something that's very personal. I remember my history. I remember like those giants, that shoulders that I stand on, those that came before me, that stood for certain values, and those values I'm reminded of every time I tie every single layer of my turban.
Do you always wear a turban or do you take it off at home?
I wear it all the time. When I'm in the shower, when I'm sleeping, everyone has their own style and flair.
Thank you. Those are all the questions I had.
Awesome. Thank you.
So Seva literally translates to selfless service. You do it because you genuinely believe in the importance of humanity and sharing with others.
What are some Seva activities you do with your family?
So the awesome thing about Seva is it can be done anywhere and anytime. So something that I do with my family and with the Gurdwara as well is we do the Seva food truck, which we make home-cooked meals and we deliver them to the homeless.
Seva truly is being selfless and realizing that we're all in this together.
Can you tell me a little bit about this space?
So this is called our Gurdwara, which literally means the door to our Guru. Our Guru, the Guru Granth Sahib, is the central focus of any Gurdwara. We have it a little bit higher as a form of respect, and then we have the congregation sitting on both sides.
What does it look like to pray?
So basically when we're praying, we always have our heads covered and we're always sitting cross-legged like this. We're all sitting together on the ground as equals. We don't think that you can only pray being in one certain place. There's no restrictions really.
How does worship make you feel?
For me personally, it makes me feel kind of centered and it keeps my mind calm and at peace.
Whenever I'm going through like a challenging time in my life, when I'm worshiping, when I'm praying, I feel I do get a lot of guidance from the Guru Granth Sahib as well.
Thank you guys so much for answering my questions, and I think this is a really special thing you do, so thank you. Thank you so much. I had so much fun and learned a lot of things. Bye!
And for more on the religious diversity journeys and the documentary, just go to onedetroitpbs.org. And finally, we can all use a little more civility in this polarized world. Our One Detroit contributors Nolan Finley and Stephen Henderson have started what they call the Civility Project to get people with opposing viewpoints to come together and listen.
People like to put us together in hopes that we give them an entertaining fight. But in the process of doing so, we started to try to get to know the why of each other in terms of our decision making and our political beliefs.
I think we start with a couple of pretty basic foundational principles. Probably the most important is the concept of listening. It's taking yourself out of the equation and putting the focus on the person who's talking and what they're saying. When we say civility, we don't mean polite all the time. There are times when we really bitterly disagree about stuff, but we always get up from the table and say, well, I'll see you next time.
And for their conversation at the Detroit Econ Club, just head to our website at onedetroitpbs.org. And that is going to do it for us. Meet me back here for One Detroit next Thursday. Take care and be well.
You can find more at onedetroitpbs.org or subscribe to our social media channels and sign up for our One Detroit newsletter.
From Delta Faucets to Behr Paint, Masco Corporation is proud to deliver products that enhance the way consumers all over the world experience and enjoy their living spaces. Masco, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support for this program provided by the Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV, the Kresge Foundation, Community Foundation for Southeast Michigan.
The DTE Foundation is a proud sponsor of Detroit Public TV, among the state's largest foundations committed to Michigan-focused giving. We support organizations that are doing exceptional work in our state. Visit dtefoundation.com to learn more.
Business Leaders for Michigan, dedicated to making Michigan a top 10 state for jobs, personal income, and a healthy economy. Nissan Foundation, Ally, and viewers like you.